what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what has happened with Demetrius Andrade's career right now, March 26, 2016, 7:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you don't know, he's recently signed, meaning Demetrius Andrade, former WBO champion, 22-0 with 15 KOs. He's recently re-signed the deal with his promoters, Star Boxing and Banner Promotions. He's co-promoted. He's in heavy negotiations to fight a fighter by the name of Charles Hatley, June 11th, 2016, on the undercard of Ruslan Provodnikov versus John Molina on Showtime. I'm going to read a little bit of an article from the Boxing Insider website and post a link right down below. It's an old article, but it'll pretty much shed some light on what's been going on with Demetrius Andrade's career and also why he hasn't fought Jermell Charlo. Remember, he was supposed to fight Jermell Charlo, and it was finalized at one point. They even had his name on the banners, and it was the co-feature. He was supposed to fight Jermell Charlo on the undercard of Khan versus Alexander, and he dropped out of that fight because of money. I'll explain what happened, but let me read this bit of an article, and I'm going to post a link right down below in the description box, and you'll get the general idea on why this guy hasn't been fighting. By the way, he fought in October of 2015 against a fighter by the name of Dario Puchetta in an untelevised, unmarketed fight, basically. And the fight pretty much meant nothing. And before that, he fought Brian Rose in June of 2014 in what was his last title defense. Remember, he's been stripped of the WBO title. But let me get that. Let me read this. Jay-Z's Rock Nation Sports is being sued by promoter Joe DeGuardia Star Boxing for essentially stealing away talented and rising star Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, then letting the man's career fall to pieces. Artie Pullulo, who also promotes Andrade for Banner Promotions, has teamed up with DeGuardia for the suit. According to court documents, Rock Nation offered DeGuardia Star Promotions $2 million for Andrade's contract, per the New York Post. Rock Nation is said to have also pledged to pay the former Olympian $550,000 to cancel a fight against Jermell Charlo in December of 2014 at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. Rock Nation reportedly went so far as to figuratively wine and dine the 21-0 Rhode Islander, taking both he and his family to their New York headquarters to meet Jay-Z himself. Heady stuff for a young fighter on the rise. Problem is, after the brakes were put on the Charlo fight, Rock Nation apparently lost interest in Andrade, and the super welterweight never saw that $500,000 he was expecting. What's more, Andrade's career subsequently went into a state of prolonged hibernation. So, to paraphrase, Rock Nation allegedly was negotiating with Demetrius Andrade, offered the current promoters who he signed back with now, Joe DeGuardia and Star Boxing, $2 million for his contract, also offered him over $500,000 to walk away from the Jermell Charlo fight, in which he did, and basically tarnished his relationship with Showtime. Banner Promotions, who promotes Ruslan Provodnikov, has allowed Ruslan Provodnikov to sign a multi-fight deal with Showtime. Demetrius Andrade is signed with Banner Promotions. Maybe they have settled their differences and said, okay, well, we'll, let Demetrius Andrade fight this fight against Charles Hatley. It's not official yet, but if it goes through on Showtime, and then we'll think about possibly signing him maybe to a multi-fight deal or make Showtime his home. Because if you look at it, the options are bigger over on Showtime as far as the Al Heyman and Showtime fighters for Demetrius Andrade to get bigger fights. For example, he's in a WBC tournament where Jermell Charlo is supposed to be fighting John Jackson. Remember, Jermell Charlo is the one that doesn't have the title. Jermell Charlo is the one that fought Venus Monterosian. Jermall Charlo is the IBF title holder, and Jermall Charlo is in, is supposed to be fighting Julian Williams in the future. So Jermell Charlo is the one that if Jermell Charlo fights John Jackson, and if this Demetrius Andrade versus Charles Hatley fight gets finalized, because let's face it, Charles Hatley shouldn't be fighting Demetrius Andrade anyway, but Charles Hatley beat Anthony Mundine in his last fight and beat him pretty bad and won the WBC silver. So the WBC decided to place him in the tournament. Demetrius Andrade has went on the record to say the only reason that he's fighting Charles Hatley, or basically one of the only reasons, is because he wants to fight in the WBC tournament. And he feels that if he fights in the WBC tournament, then he can get the fights that he wants and nobody will duck him. Which is true to a certain extent, but just because the WBC says you have to fight in this tournament doesn't mean your promoter is going to put you and have you fight in this tournament. Not for Demetrius Andrade, I'm talking about for his opponents, because when we look at Lamont Peterson, who was supposed to fight Andre Berto in the WBC tournament at 147 pounds. Remember, Danny Garcia is the champion after beating Robert Guerrero. I don't know how this tournament thing works. Andre Berto is going on to fight Victor Ortiz and not Lamont Peterson. You get what I'm saying? So let me get back to the Demetrius Andrade Charles Hatley situation. Demetrius Andrade now has options open for him, you know, if he's going to be fighting on Showtime, and that door's back open for him. Because why? Maybe he can end up on PBC. You get what I'm saying? I think that the future is to have Ruslan Provodnikov eventually fight Adrian Broner. Ruslan Provodnikov has that multi-fight Showtime deal. You know, it'll be a big fight for Adrian Broner, but that's for another video. If Demetrius Andrade stays on Showtime, he can fight Erislandy Lar. He can fight Jermell or Jermall Charlo. He can fight Julian Williams. You get me? You know, he can fight Austin Trout. It's big fights over there for him where he can make money and possibly build his career back up to being where it's supposed to be as far as being the best and fighting the best at 154 pounds. So the fight's supposed to happen. Demetrius Andrade versus Charles Hatley, June 11th, 2016, on the undercard of Ruslan Provodnikov and John Molina. Also, we're hearing that Willie Monroe Jr. may be on that card as well, so it's looking like it's going to be a big card. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.